Okay. So today and actually even next week is going to be really more of a Q&A type of video meeting. They're optional. They're not mandatory. I'm not attaching any points to them. But I do find that especially if you're concerned or you have questions about what's showing up on the modules, this is a great place for you to ask questions. Because if you have the question, I would almost guarantee someone else has the exact same question. So don't worry too much about that. Let me go ahead and share my screen where I've got my Blackboard showing. So let me go to Units and then go to Share Screen. Before we get started though, do either of you guys have any questions for me right now?
No, not right now.
Not right now. Okay, cool. Okay. Do the modules seem to make sense to you guys?
Yeah, they're pretty thorough.
Okay, I'm making sure because those who've had me before, you kind of know how I set them up. If you've not had my class before, it might be a little bit overwhelming because I didn't use the module folders like I usually use. I'm using regular folders, mostly because, and I'm going to be honest with everybody, I'm basically rebuilding this course from scratch. This used to be a lot like well, it was almost exactly, I think, the syllabus at least, to the diagnosis and practicum course, and it needs to be different, especially if you take it back to back. It doesn't make any sense to have you take a course with one name, a course with another name, and you're doing exactly the same things. I want you to do something different. And so, did either of you guys take the diagnosis course with Dr. Garrett last semester?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you, Nora? I'm having trouble hearing you. I don't know what's, yeah, for some reason I can't hear your voice, Nora. I'm going to pull the chat. There's a chat function here, and I'll pull that up in case you want to ask questions. You could type it in case, something's really, really kind of giving you issues with the audio. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pull my screen over here. Let me do a new share and share the other desktop, and then I'm going to drag this over there. It's a bigger screen for me, and I can see it better as I talk to you guys about different things. Okay. So unit 1, or I should say module 1, just kind of, it was kind of a let's get started with the course type of module. So I didn't give you a whole lot to do except start thinking about who you're going to be working with and just kind of get thinking about your student, your teacher, and things like that. Because although originally this course was designed around working with a student on their reading disabilities, you've done that already in the diagnosis course. So now we want to start getting you guys ready to start being that literacy leader. So we want you to work more with a teacher who is going to be either working with that same student that you assessed or a different student. Or if it works for you in your classroom setting, and I know for one teacher it does, it could be a teacher working with an entire classroom, working with literacy instruction within an entire classroom. That's fine as well. It's still coaching. So I'm not going to say, no, you can't do it that way. There's no one way to coach when it comes right down to it. And that's why I'm also providing you guys with some articles and some discussions on what coaching should look like, or what coaching can look like. I think the next one I'll give you guys in module 4, which I know is coming up. It's way down the road, but I want to give you one where you start thinking about effective coaching strategy or techniques, and possibly ineffective or not as effective coaching techniques, and thinking about how to work your way into really working alongside a teacher rather than being, let's say, the sage on the stage, the knowledgeable other, telling them what to do and how to do it. It's more about helping them evolve into a stronger literacy teacher. Because chances are you're working with somebody who's already been teaching reading or writing in some form. Now, I do have a teacher who's working with an undergraduate student who's tutoring for the very first time. So that's a different scenario. But at the same time, it's still coaching. She's still talking about the strengths that she sees in her lessons, and she's talking to her about some of the things that she could or tips that she could do differently next time she works with the child. So that's that. That's kind of like the overall gist. I went ahead and I'm leaving the semester overview here that I started at the very, very beginning of the semester, because I think it kind of gives you an idea of everything that's going to come together by the end of 7 weeks. And nobody's notified me with any issues of not being able to find a student, and that's great. I think it's probably the first time ever. So hooray, congratulations. That's stressful when you're not sure who you're going to work with, what teacher you're going to work with, or what students. And so you guys did a fantastic job, I think, of finding a good fit, students and teacher. And those of you guys who had special situations where you're working in a secondary school or in a private school, we've already discussed those things, and we've kind of crossed that bridge already. So let's get moving. Module 1. I have not gone in and graded Module 1 yet, I'll be honest, but the Module 1 was really more of the get started module. And I'm just going to kind of overview it real quick. You guys, very likely, everyone's turned their stuff in. Really, the only reason I gave you guys a discussion box was to get you guys thinking right off the bat and discussing with each other who you're working with, so that so I feel confident that you are ready to roll. There's no grade associated with any of the discussions I might create in the next modules because it's not part of your grade. It was helpful for me though, so that I know that everybody has people in mind that they're going to work with. Thank you for responding to the Doodle poll link. I had a really great response to that. And it seemed like Thursday night and Saturday afternoon were the best fits. And I made sure that somebody had an availability at some point that I picked. That way there wasn't somebody who couldn't do Saturday or couldn't do Thursday. I made sure it fit everybody's needs. And then case study check 1. It was pretty straightforward. It's a lot like what you did in the diagnosis class, only now I want you to also describe some information about the teacher background. If you did something like this for the diagnosis class and you happen to be working with the exact same student, then yes, I'll probably see some of the same stuff that you wrote for Dr. Garrett. It's not going to be exactly the same because chances are your student has grown since you've worked with them at the beginning of the semester, and that's probably going to be evident here as well. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, did y'all have any issues with the case study check 1? I'm hoping the rubric and everything that it made it clear enough so that you knew what I was looking for.
Yes.
Okay. Nora, I'm thinking you're doing okay. Like I said, I've got my chat box up. If you have any questions, Nora, you can type into the chat. Okay. So moving on. That was module 1. Nice, easy module. That was the module I was expecting to start hearing people get a little bit stressed out and be concerned or worried. I'm so impressed. I think maybe my oh, good. It's okay, Nora, you know what? As long as you type into there, I can see your comments. Y'all can't see that I see her comments, but I've got the chat box right up here on my other screen. So you're good to go. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So no one seemed to be concerned, so I'm going to make an assumption that everyone's doing okay. 40 hours of not even observation, of working with a child or a teacher, that's a lot, but that's why this is a 6-hour course. Really, I'm trying to make sure that everything I'm giving you a grade for is going to not be something that's unassociated with working with that child or working with that teacher. I'm not going to do that to you guys. That's why you don't have any discussion forums. You don't have to pick a new student. If you want to work with one you've previously worked with Dr. Garrett or with me or with Dr. Valadez or whoever you took this class with last time, I suggest do it because you already know the child. For your IRI, if that's the case, Nora, what I would do is use the if you gave this child an assessment at the end of spring semester A, use that as a part of or most of your assessment for your IRI for the next module, because you've got one for the student, but it's now you're starting off at a new starting point. So hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully, Nora, that sounds good. I mean, if you've got a child, yeah, use the last assessment. That's fine. That's fine. But you want to write it up and kind of now start thinking about those next steps you may have discussed with Dr. Garrett's class. Now you're going to take those next steps and you're going to actually start moving forward with them. So now you actually kind of know what your child is going to need. Whereas other students who, hi, Corrine. Other students who maybe have, are doing this from, maybe they had a couple of years between the diagnosis class and this class, they're going to have to start from scratch, and that's fine because everyone hopefully has given an IRI before. And so what I'm hoping is that this isn't anything brand new. That's why I had a suggested IRI for y'all to purchase, but if you have one you've already used and you want to use that one because you're happy with it, by all means, use that IRI. I'm not going to say go out and buy $100 IRI. They're expensive. I mean, even the older editions can be pretty expensive. So otherwise, that is all I wanted to really talk to you guys about Module 1. So Kareen, welcome.
Hi.
All
Hi.
I think right now is talk to the ladies about what you guys did for Module 1. And I started off by asking if you guys had any questions or concerns right off the bat that I can answer right now. Because really these, at least for the first couple of weeks, these are going to be more Q&A sessions, question and answer, talking about the modules, what assignments are coming, and things like that. And
Okay.
Laura, actually, Flint Cooter is great. So that's fine. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Kareen.
Oh no, I was just saying.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh yeah, and
I'm
these are
sorry I'm late.
optional.
It took me a while to figure out where it was.
It's okay. If it's the first time you've used Zoom, it's a little different because sometimes you have to download like a little app, but the next time you log in, if you click on the link, it'll kind of take you through the motions of, accept audio, video, and it should pop right up.
Thank you.
I like Zoom. I've got a friend who's in Kazakhstan. She's 11 hours away, and we use Zoom, and it works perfectly.
Yeah, that's nice.
Kind of distance. So I prefer Zoom. And right now, so I'm recording. That way, anybody who can't make today or can't make Saturday, they can maybe check in and see what we talked about.
Okay.
Okay. So, and one thing I also asked Kareen is to make sure that the way I've got the module set up, that it makes sense and that you're able to follow it pretty clearly. Because I'm honest when I say that I am kind of redeveloping this entire course so that it's not just like the diagnosis course, which for me is a challenge. That's why I'm pulling in things as I'm building them, basically. And what I'm discovering is as I get the module set up, I realize you need something else, and I'm pulling that in too. So if there's something in here that's not clear, you guys are helping me develop not a new course. Y'all are helping me improve the course so that it develops you differently from how the diagnosis course developed you. So feel free to email me if there's something that's not clear or there's something that's missing. If I'm missing a rubric, let me know. Chances are I've got the rubric in here. I didn't pull it in. So again, let me know.
Okay.
So yeah, it seems like once a year I rebuild a course. Yeah, it's one of those things, and that's okay because it's actually kind of fun, to be quite honest. So module 1 was really just you writing about your student and your teacher that you're going to be working with. It could be a teacher. It could be a paraprofessional. It could be an undergraduate student who is tutoring in a program at your school. As long as it's somebody you can help develop their skills. I'm not picky about who it is. It does need to be at a TEA approved campus though. And that's why it's important that if you're not at or working in a public school, let me know where you're at so I can just check and make sure it's okay. And so far, no one said anything that's send up any red flags. You guys seem to be just fine.
Okay.
Are y'all ready for module 2? I'm going to talk about module 2. Okay. Okay. So module 2, and this is where you do your IRI. And like Nora asked, if you have the same student you used with, let's say, Dr. Garrett's class last semester, you can use that same student. That's fine. You've already got an IRI, hopefully done with him or her at the end of that semester. You can use that to build your new IRI for this class. And it might be different because you may have learned some new things about this child since the end of that course or since you wrote that IRI. And by all means, add that to what you have. For module 2, we still don't have a whole lot that I'm asking you to do that's brand new. I do want you to complete an IRI, and I do want you to please, it needs to be, I'm saying at least 3 pages long, double spaced. That I'm thinking, considering the amount of things that you're going to be describing, the different assessments you're giving, that shouldn't really probably be very hard to do, in my opinion, because you're reporting back on their ability to sight word list or sight word read, possibly their phonics, if that's something you measured in addition to the other things I said you needed to do. How do they perform on comprehension? How do they perform on fluency? And as I said, if you need a fluency measure because your IRA does not come with any way to assess fluency, let me know and I'll get you something. Okay, there's not one way to measure fluency is what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to value all tools. Some of your districts use specific tools that we don't have access to. And a lot of times, if you just tell me about it, I'll research it. So far, I've not told anybody, no, don't use it. Because, there are so many different ways we can informally assess a child's reading. I'm talking 1,000 miles an hour. That's my natural speaking rate. So if I need to slow down, let me know. Otherwise, again, word list reading evaluation, reading comprehension, reading fluency, and then some short recommendations for intervention. You don't have to go into detail, because as when we get to Module 3, you'll see that you're going to go into detail on that with Module 3. The other things I need you to do is read chapters 6 through 8 from the Guyton Richards text. And also, I have a coaching article here that I do want you guys to read as well. This comes from 2008, so of course it's a little bit older, but it's really, really a good read. It's Elementary Literacy Coaches, the Reality of Dual Roles, being the teacher, being the coach, and kind of getting into that that new role as a literacy coach. And in 2008, it really was sort of an evolving concept, literacy coaching. And Sharon Walpole, very, very recognized as a researcher and writer. So in fact that it's written in The Reading Teacher tells you that she was targeting teachers and practitioners. And so it should be a good read. Read it, and you'll use it later once I really start having you guys working with the teachers more for evaluation from me. Okay. Don't stress about that though. Moving on. You only have one coaching article to kind of look at this week. I kind of kept it simple too. So really the only thing you have to do is going to be that IRI. Work, focus on working with your child, getting in all that data. If something comes up that's impeding your ability to get everything turned in at a certain time, let me know and I'll work with you. But don't try to fall so far behind that all of a sudden everything's sort of piling up, because it's in 7 weeks, it moves fast. So try to make those deadlines as much as possible. Any questions so far about Module 2?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, moving on to Module 3 then. Okay, y'all are so easy. Oh my goodness. Well, I know I've had Leslie before, so you know my style. I think I may have had Nora in a class before.
You look familiar.
What's that?
I said you do look familiar.
Okay. Okay, well, let me go ahead and look at Module 3. Oh, I totally popped out of our class. But let's look at Module 3. And then I'll talk to you a little bit more about my teaching style and how I interact with you guys. And so that it kind of sets your mind at ease, because the three of us that teach most of the literacy courses, all three of us have at least slightly different teaching styles. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about mine in a little while. And we all recognize it, and we all totally value each other, and we know we're different. Okay, first Module 3. I always start with the Module 3 assignments page. I'm going to put edit mode off because that's a little bit, there we go. This is what you should see. And it just kind of gives you a list of what you need to do for Module 3. This is not due until April 7th, but I wanted it ready for y'all in case you needed to look ahead and see what's coming up. Because once you get your IRI done, you really need to start working on that next case study check, intervention plan. And that's why I'm so glad we're meeting this week. That way we can talk about 3 before you need to start really worrying about 3. Okay, so of course, read guide chapters 9 through 12. That text is a really good one because it really talks about scaffolding and thinking about the kind of accounting for children's different needs, variety of needs in the classroom. And it's true in the elementary school, especially in the secondary school. Most of you guys, if not everybody, is working with an elementary age child. Now, Corrine, are you my student who's working with high school?
Yes, I have a freshman.
Okay. If let's say your teacher, and I was talking to Leslie and Nora about this, if your teacher is teaching an entire class or a small group and you're coaching her that way, that is completely fine. That's still coaching, okay? So when I start talking about using lessons that built on the assessment you did with that child, that's not going to apply to you because your teacher has specific needs. And so your coaching is going to kind of be targeted toward her using the text in her classroom.
Okay, that's good to know.
Different, and that's okay. So Don't stress when I start talking about coaching in that other specific way.
Okay, thank you.
And you're not alone. I was even telling them that I've got a graduate student working at one of the local middle schools, and her partner teacher is actually an undergraduate student who's tutoring. She's just tutoring as a volunteer, but she's helping develop this young lady's ability to teach literacy, and it's still coaching, so it still counts. And she's still in a TEA-approved school. I'm kind of like the supervisor, so it works out fine. So if it's different, it's okay. I'm going to shape this that's going to best fit your situation. And I know yours is a little different, Corrine, and that's okay.
All right, awesome, thanks.
Okay, no problem. Okay, this set, when you get to Module 3, there are 2 coaching articles I want you to look at. The first one is Coxie et al. Let me kind of pull this up real quick and look at it. Now this one is from the Coach's Corner. It's really more of an editorial piece, but it's what makes an effective literacy coach. So now we start thinking about what are some good coaching moves that you kind of need to nurture within yourself. I like this article for that reason. Plus it's from Voices in the Middle, which means it's written in a very engaging way. It's not really researchy. It kind of fits the needs that we have right now at this point in this semester. So it's a good read. It also has some ideas of things that you can look for when you're coaching. I did provide you guys with a coaching checklist, which I'll show you guys in a minute. But this article is great for that. The other coaching article, and I know I gave you 2 in this particular module, but I thought it was important to start looking at this now, is the ILA coaching, kind of like the handbook. Literacy Coaching for a Change, Choices Matter. It's really worth a good read. Next module, I'm going to start talking with you guys more about the ILA standards for coaching. There are specific standards nationally and internationally that are sort of areas that we should address as coaches and as instructors at the university. We need to kind of develop with you guys. So I want you guys to kind of understand what those are as well. That's for next time. But this coaching handbook should sort of kind of get you an idea of, according to ILA, here are their views on coaching. And again, it's not super long, which is great because you guys have a lot of work to do, and I don't want to overwhelm you guys with reading this early on. So there we go. Module 3 readings, it would be Guide 9 through 12 and those 2 articles. The 2 things you'll have due, and this is kind of the scary part, is why I'm glad we're talking about this now, is going to be not just the case study check 3, but also your first video. So case study check 3, intervention plan. If you look at the template, I don't even know why I bothered with the template. I did it because it sets my students' minds at ease. It just does. I don't think necessarily everyone's going to need it, but if you want to use it, by all means, use it. It's just kind of a way to organize your paper in a way that you know you're hitting everything. So, see, I tried to open it, and now it's not coming open. 1 second. And I don't know why my voice is getting all froggy. I'm hoping I'm not getting like allergy. Oh, it was like this yesterday. I had a 10 p.m. meeting yesterday, and my voice was so froggy. It was crazy. You know, it's possible that Microsoft Word may be trying to crash on me. No. 1 sec. Here we go. I'm dragging things away. Yeah. 1 sec. This is frustrating. We go show all windows. Minimize. Yeah, it didn't come open. Let me try it again. Sorry about this. Let's try it again. Oh, because I want to show it to you guys. And see if this link's, oh, this one's working better. I see it down here now. Now I see it. That's why it didn't open. It was being sneaky. But it's really, really basic. I mean, I just wanted to kind of show you the kinds of things you need to be doing when you do this. What's good about the intervention checklist is that it's kind of getting you started for that research paper that you'll be working on as well. It's kind of getting you started on that. Okay. Yeah, Microsoft Word is giving me a headache. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to force quick Microsoft Windows or Microsoft Word and then start it back up. Yeah. There we go. All right, let's try it again. 'Cause I do want to look at it. It's trying something. Yes, you do need to keep a log with dates, times, and things like that. What I'm going to do is show you guys the log so that you guys can see what to do. That's a good question, Nora. Thank you. And I sent it to you guys in an email, and I realized I did not have it showing on Blackboard. It's there now. Okay. Now I've got the spinning wheel of death. Here we go. I don't know. But as you can see, that's basically it. That's all it is. Strategies and activities to support literacy. So whatever skill you feel like they need to support on, just choose one to write about. You can be working on more than one, of course. I think we always work on comprehension with kids. Meaning we always work on where they're having difficulties with difficult words. But what one strategy is your focus? Think of 5 or find. Identify 5 activities or strategies to use for that skill. Here you're going to write in detail about those 5. You could do more than 5, but find 5. But they need to be research-based. So this is what the bulk of the section is going to be: name and clearly describe 5 strategies and activities to focus on a literary skill of your choice, and it's based on the child's needs. And then write about each strategy, support with research-based for each. This is the start of your research paper. So you've got 5 already, and you'll have where or who it is or where the research is that says this is a good strategy or activity to use with kids who are struggling in comprehension, who are struggling in multisyllabic words, whatever area that you're focusing on with your child. And then an APA reference list of the ones that you used. Try to use more than one source. And I know our textbook's a pretty good source for those types of things, but you guys have other textbooks you've used for other courses. Use those. You can use the internet and look at sources there too. There's some great websites. But I kind of jokingly said, please make sure they're research-based. A lot of times, Teachers Pay Teachers is not going to be research-based. Not always, but a lot of times, no. A lot of times stuff on Pinterest looks really cute and really great, but it's really kind of shallow when it comes to its research base. So look for some really good strategies. Just 5 to start off with here. And that's all you're doing on this part. You're showing me that you've got a place to start, and here's where you're heading with your child. Are there any questions about this piece? It's a minimum, I think I said 3. Double-spaced, not counting the references. But I think, honestly, you're not going to have that many references there right now anyway. So I don't think that's really that much of an issue there. So there's that. Unit 3. Module 3, I mean. Okay. Now the scary part, the video. The videos are not meant to be scary. I think the tricky part with the videos is how am I going to video it and how am I going to submit it to my teacher? So you can video in a variety of ways. You can use your iPhone. You can use your computer, laptop, if it has a camera, and I see that all of you guys have one with a camera, and that's great. You can use whatever recording device you want, but you need to somehow be able to pull it into Blackboard. And I've got what I might do for y'all tonight or tomorrow is kind of do like a little mini tutorial of how to pull it into YouTube and how to make it private, but then how to use that to pull it into Blackboard for me to view. It's a couple of extra steps, but it makes it much easier for you to do because a lot of times it's going to be a lot less time consuming to pull it into YouTube and then create a link than it is to try to pull it into Blackboard. That could a lot of times bog down the system. And you don't want to do that because that's stressful. So I was thinking about a tutorial of how to turn an image or a video into a private YouTube, and pull that into Blackboard. Does that sound like something you'd like to do?
Yes.
Awesome, I see. Awesome. Okay, good. 1 second. Yeah, I think I'm starting to get froggy. Okay, but that's basically it. So basically your video, let me click on here real quick. Let me go back here. And so here are the kind of the details of what to do on the video. At least 20 minutes. And it seems like a long time, but if you're doing a beginning, during, and after, and you're spending as much time as you are with your child, I'm hoping 20 minutes isn't too much time. Include images, short stops of, or shots of the students' work samples. I suggest hold it up to the camera. Here's what my child did. Here's what they, here's how they performed as part of your video or as part of your feedback. And then try to hit all the points on the coaching checklist. You may not hit them all, but try to. Sometimes doesn't make sense to hit them all. And now you're wondering, what does she mean coaching checklist? All right. How many of you guys have noticed my coaching checklist I put up here?
I saw it.
That's okay. It's from, I pulled it up, I think, here on Monday. And I did it because I realized you guys need guidance on what you're looking for when you're working with your students or with your teacher. But not only that, but it's a great way for me to model for you how to fill it out if I'm doing that for you on your first 2 videos. So that's what I'm going to be using on your first 2 videos. I'm going to model for you how to use this checklist. And it's really straightforward and basic. I didn't want to make it too complicated. There's no reason to do that. Look for the teacher's preparation. How is their preparation evident? Did they seem organized? Did they have a plan? You know what I mean? Were they able to move from one activity to another in a streamlined way or in a way that didn't seem to really impede? You're just looking for evidence that the teacher was prepared. What was the evidence of how they prepared, and so on. But I do want you to notice that. This part here that's in bold, you can take that out. You don't need that. I put that there so you knew what to write there. So then finally, was there any before reading strategies or anything that was geared toward getting them ready for the next activity that they're going to do with the teacher? Was there activating background knowledge? Did they refer back to a previous lesson? Did they engage the student in some way with a text or with the activity before they started the activity? What sort of before reading or before beginning activity was evidence? Was there one evidence? That could be an area where you can have a tip. You could say, well, a good idea is perhaps talk to the child about the good things they did the previous day in class when you work with them before moving on into the new activity or assignment or book or whatever. But there needs to be something at the beginning that engages the child, hopefully activates some sort of background knowledge, or goes back to a previous lesson that the new lesson is being booked on. What are they doing to prepare them for the new lesson? Then during reading, or I always say during reading, but it doesn't necessarily have to be reading. If they're working on phonics, then it could be what's their during activity. What are they doing as the activity, and what is the child and teacher doing during that time? Is she pausing along the way and asking students to perhaps identify where they're missing words and having them maybe practice reading them accurately, with accuracy? Are they working on fluency? Are they working on comprehension? And if so, what kinds of activities are they using? Is there a strategy involved? Is there something going on during the reading other than just the reading? And then finally, after reading, meaning, or writing. I put writing in there too, because there could be writing also. Are they asking them to retell what they remember from the story? Are they asking comprehension questions? Is there a comprehension activity at the end that's assessing their understanding of the text? And then finally, that last part, or right here toward the bottom, feedback, overall feedback. Is the teacher providing feedback to the student, and in what form is that feedback? Is it all corrective, or are they also emphasizing things they're doing well? That's something to keep in mind as well. And the student engagement, how engaged was the student in the activity? Did they seem distracted? Did they seem really highly engaged? Was it something interesting to them? That's something to consider too. If it's something that seems to be not necessarily engaging the child, or they're not actively working with the text, with the words or whatever, then that might be an idea, maybe a chance to talk to the teacher about perhaps changing up what they're doing. Maybe try something different next time. And any other notes you have, any other notes about what you've noticed or what you saw. And it could just be, and if you know the child especially, it could just be that the child's having an off day. They didn't get enough sleep. They sat up all night watching the Spurs game. Who knows? But that's an idea to write down here. And then finally, talk to your teacher about the feedback. That's the last thing you should do. And that's what I'll do with you guys too. I will write discussion notes for you. Here's what I noticed. Here's some tips for next time, and so on. But this, when you're working with your teacher, it should be a conversation you're having. after the lesson. If not right after the lesson, then before the next lesson that the teacher does with the child. So this is your checklist. It's sort of a place for you to take notes. Like I said, the stuff in bold, take that out. I put that in there so you knew the kinds of information you're going to put there. And this is going to help you when it comes time for you to work on your case study. Because when you start building the pieces of your case study, you're going to have to start really talking about not just the development of the child, the development of the teacher as well. It's going to be a part of this case study. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting semester. Does the checklist make sense? Okay, these are the things I'm looking for when you do your video, basically. I'm going to basically model for you what you should be doing on this form, let's say, week 4, when you start videoing with your teacher. These are the things you're looking for. And if you want to start doing this right away, as you're calculating the hours you're spending with your teacher, by all means, start using it now, because it'll give you a good opportunity to work with them. This form, this checklist I made is really based on lots of different ideas I saw online, that I saw in books. I didn't like one over the other, so I just kind of created my own that was simplified. I didn't want it to be too wordy, too busy. A one-pager is fine. You can write on it if you want to, or you can type into it. It's up to you. These checklists, when you do your video with your teacher, weeks 4, 5, and 6, and 7, I am going to ask you to show it to me. I filled the checklist out. We talked about these things. I'm not going to ask you to scan them in and send them to me, because these are your notes for your case study. So you're going to keep these. But I am going to ask that you kind of, refer to them as you're doing after the video's over and things like that. Okay. I just did a whole lot of talking. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Okay. Nobody's freaked. I am so glad nobody's freaked out yet. I don't have any deer caught in the headlight looks. That's fantastic. Because I'll tell you what, I was as nervous about teaching this class as I think a lot of you guys are of taking the class, because this is a challenging course. It's a lot of work. But what it's doing is it's kind of getting you geared to be ready to be those leaders you need to be in the classroom when you get your reading specialist certification.
It is a little overwhelming, I will say.
No, and it is, I know. But I think what's good is you're going to do it and you're going to be fine. You're going to get through it. You're going to get your 40 hours and everything. At the end, you're going to have your case study finished, and you're going to realize how far you came from week 1 to week 7. Seriously. And I'm going to get you through it. We're all going to take this trip together. It's going to be fine. It's going to be quite a journey, but we're going to be okay. I say we. No, you're going to be fine. And as long as, like I say, just keep working with your child, keep working with the teacher. The checklist is really going to help. So I think it's going to help guide you on the kinds of things to look for and the kinds of things to share with that teacher. So let me see. You know what? Yes. Now, Nora's got a good question. She's got a couple of them that I didn't respond to. Yes, you're going to keep a log of the dates, times, and things like that, because we need that for TEA. You do. You can have your principal or your department chair or somebody sign off for it. That'd be great. The video's 20 minutes. Let me know if that seems to be, you have an issue with 20 minutes. We'll look at it and see what we can do to figure something out for you that works. Let's see. Also, share the template with that checklist with your teacher. Show them what you're looking for. And if they need help developing something that's hitting all those points, that's kind of your job. Help them develop something that hits all those points. The teacher I've got at Haas Middle School working with the students, the undergraduate, we are creating everything for that student because, of course, she's not had experience in the classroom. So I'm not asking you to do that. But if you've got a teacher who needs help develop or coming up with really quick and easy ways to activate background knowledge or to, assess at the end of a text, then by all means help them. Give them some strategies or ideas to use. And I'm thinking the chances are the focus of those lessons are going to be in that meat part right in the middle, the during reading strategies. What are we doing to help them develop that skill? That's almost always going to happen in that middle part, where during the during reading strategy part, and that's fine. But it's kind of a reminder for us not to let go of before reading and after reading. that let's think about what we learned last time, and then at the end, let's wrap it up and kind of revisit everything we read and everything we did today. Those are very important. It gives the student closure. It helps reinforce that they learned something that day. It really does, because kids are growing the whole time. But it also gives, at the beginning of that lesson, it gives them a starting point to focus on. It gives them a really great focus before they get into challenging text, challenging words, an activity that they know that they're going to need to really use some really, heavy thinking and learning in order to get through and move forward with. So yes, I'm gonna like Nora asked, and like some of you guys nodded in agreement. Yes, I'm gonna give you a tutorial on how to pull those videos in. If for some reason, and it could happen, you're using a videoing device that's not compatible with YouTube, we'll work around that and figure something out. We really will. Otherwise, I think the YouTube method is going to probably be the best bet. If you have another way of pulling the videos in, by all means, use it. That's fine. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I'm just making sure I don't have any more questions. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so really this week, really focus on that Module 2 material. Module 3, I wanted you to look at now. That way you've got, you kind of know, okay, I'm going to be doing a video. I'm going to be working with the child. So the video of me, and I'm going to get feedback based on what I will be using with my teacher. So again, it's a great way for me to model for you how to fill that form out and how to use it for feedback. Otherwise, that's Module 3. It's a lot of reading, I know, but it's also you working with a child and getting those hours in. Right now, when you start thinking about later, it's not due till April 7th. When you start working on your case study check 3, when you're thinking about interventions, you very likely identified your topic for your research paper. So if at all possible, by the time you know what your intervention plan is going to look like, I suggest, and I'll pull that in for y'all already too, start thinking about articles that you're going to pull for that research paper. And I'm not going to make it extensively long. I don't want it to be long. You guys are working on a case study with 2 individuals, a student with a teacher. So your research paper is not going to be long. I'm not going to promise a page number yet, because right now I'm kind of thinking of what I want you to develop. It needs to look different from this case study check 3, but it also needs to be a deeper study of that topic. So again, when you get to your case study check 3, start thinking about, here's my topic. Maybe it's comprehension. Maybe it's writing. And if it's writing, that's fine. Because some students are, and it's true. And we know that students who are good readers are usually good writers and vice versa. But we know sometimes that's not true. We know sometimes students can be fabulous readers. They struggle with writing. And if that is the area that you're going to focus with on your students, then by all means, we'll work on writing strategies. And that can be your research paper focus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Otherwise, I think I've covered modules 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And I'm going to pull in module 4 by Saturday, so you can see that too. Because I've got an end point in mind for you guys, and I'm kind of backward planning. So I want to make sure that you've got enough time to get things done in 7 weeks. So it's so much you've got to do that no one's going to really feel too overwhelmed. I'm not going to say not overwhelmed, because you probably feel overwhelmed right now.
Yes.
But not too overwhelmed so that you're thinking, I need to drop this class. Please don't drop the class. It's just that you dig your heels in, and you can do this. Okay?
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any questions before I let you guys go? I'm going to show you a few things real quick. These are things I pulled in today. I was going to put your rubrics within the modules, but I thought that was a little bit, if you're looking for a rubric, I made it a one-stop shop. You've got rubrics right here. Here's your rubric for the videos. Time requirement, lesson elements. Let's look at the checklist. If you hit all those points, basically. Feedback, reflection. Did you provide feedback? Did you provide some sort of reflection for your teacher? That's what I'm looking for in the videos, okay? I'm not gonna hit that too hard, the feedback reflection part, the first couple of times, because you're videoing yourself with your child and I'm doing the feedback. But for the most part, that's what I'm looking for. And notice that the lesson requirements is that's half your points. I'm looking to see that you've got that lesson in there and that you're hitting a targeted skill with that child that's based on your IRI, that's based on their needs. Okay? All right. You also have a rubric for your case study checks. It's really basic. That you organize the paper in an appropriate way. Grammar and mechanics, are they there? You have like very few, if any, grammatical or mechanical or spelling errors. And then finally, content's always the heavy part. I'm looking to see that you have all the parts in there I asked for. Do you have your demographics and your description of your student? You have the information about your teacher, for example. You hit all those parts in that template I gave you. You hit all the sections that are provided in the description of how to complete that check 1 or that check 2 or that check 3. Check 3 is pretty basic. Do you have, basically for content, do you have the at least 5 strategies described in detail with references? That's it. That's your content there. And then I'm looking at organization, and then I'm looking at grammar, spelling, mechanics. Okay? Right. I'm not worried about y'all's grammar, spelling, mechanics. You guys are master students. You guys are going to knock this out. Y'all are literacy people. You're going to be great. Yeah, come on. But otherwise, I've got, like I said, as I put in assignments, I'm going to have rubrics here for you. They're attached to the assignment. I don't expect you guys to get in that assignment and look at the rubric. I'd rather you guys be able to see that rubric here so that you know, okay, I need to do these things to get my 10 points and so forth. Okay. Again, IRI rubric, it's very similar to the other rubric. It's basically, do you have all the content there for the all of those parts of the IRA I asked to see? And you can add more if you need to. Do you have, is it organized in a way that it flows? You've got headings, subheadings that helps organize the information that if I'm looking to see how they did on comprehension, I know where to find it. And then finally, grammar mechanics, things like that. The only check so far through modules 1, 2, and 3 that are going to require any APA is going to be the third one, because that's the one where you're looking at intervention strategies and activities. Okay, so there's your rubrics. And per request, let me go back here because I just popped. Ooh, now you're going to look at my doctoral class. Let me go back here. You're reading Practicum. If you go down here again, I also have your logs and forms. Because you guys have a checklist that you're using with your teacher, I don't have a practicum log where you're filling in answers to what you observed. You're not observing anymore. You are working with people. So just worry about that. All I need from you is the log sheet. Sheep. I can't even spell today. I'll fix that later. Yeah, I was typing that fast today. Okay, it's basic, it's straightforward. Make as many pages as you need. Comments, those are good for you. So like Nora's question, do I need to have the objective we were working on? Now, you can write that in the comments, okay? Write that in the comments. You're gonna be writing more about the teacher's objectives and things when it comes to writing your case study. So do keep track of those types of things, Nora, and everybody else. Keep track of what it is exactly they're working with. If there's TEKS objectives that are aligned, you can talk about those, especially Corrine, because I know that you're going to be working with a teacher who's going to be working with kids in a classroom. But honestly, when you're working with tutoring with a child, sometimes the child's needs don't necessarily align with a TEK. And so that might not really be reasonable. So for comments, just, type, you write there, comments, write whatever you want. Observed by, that's basically have somebody sign off that you did these things. Like I said, department chair, administrator, the reading specialist on your campus, if you have one, and I know a lot of campuses don't, but I'm your reading specialist person, so if I see that this is done, you're good to go. Just make sure you have all 40 hours, if at all possible. It's really worth a lot when it comes to this course, and I will write that better. I can't believe I wrote log sheet. Yeah, it's been a long week. And then this sheet right here is for the end. It sort of restates what you need to do for the course. And it says your name, your island ID, your supervisor name, your principal, whoever it is that's in charge of you at your school that's going to be signing off for you on the other sheet. Sign there. And it's basically saying, I hereby acknowledge that the not the, that your name, has completed the hours as described above in the cover letter. And as you see, I have up here, I have it. Because I know I upped it 40. 40, I misspelled 40. I'm having a day. But then they sign off here, and it shows that you guys have your 40 hours. That's your final. And if you don't have 40, just write the number you completed. Did you get 35? Then 35 of 40. Or however, if you did you do 50 hours? Write down 50 hours. So those could help you out with another class. Do as many hours as you can. But 40 is going to be a challenge this 7 weeks. It really is. So those are the only 2 forms I need from you. That second one I just showed you, that one's really more for, that one's more for the end of the semester. The log is for throughout. And it's just a generic one we made for the course because we know that we have so many different classes that are in this program that we're using for observation and practicum that we just made a generic one that we think would fit all the courses across the board. Okay. Was there anything else I needed to show you guys? Okay. Anybody have any questions? It sounds like things are going okay. I don't, like I said, I don't hear any panicky voices. I don't see any, you know what I mean? Because I can usually y'all look like you're good to go. I know it's a lot. It is a lot. Try to start working with your teacher as soon as you can and practice using that checklist if you can. You don't have to record with your teacher or your participating or your cooperating teacher, I should say, until the 3rd video that we do for the class. But that doesn't mean that you can't start working with the teacher now, because those are hours that can go on your 40. And that the more hours, the better. And the more you get them going, the faster you can be feeling great by week 7. You're like, yes, for 40 hours. Okay? Do the 40 hours include video time too? Yes, it does. It would, so the 40 hours include video time too. It does, or just pre-and post-assessment conversations and lessons. It includes conversations. It includes lessons. It includes lessons with students and teachers. It includes you observing the teacher working with the student. It counts. All of that counts because you're right there. You're coaching. So don't think that you have to do your 40 hours just with a student. It's everything you do with that teacher, and it's everything you do with the child. And I hope that makes you feel better, Nora. It's everything you do with that teacher. If you're planning together, count that. That's still coaching. If you're planning together to work with that child, count it. Great. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, if y'all have any questions, you want to hang around after everybody gets off, that's fine. Otherwise, you know my email address. I will get back with you. My phone number, my cell phone number should be on the syllabus, so you need to text me. Tell me your name first. Hi, this is so-and-so. I'm having trouble with this. I'm very likely, especially with an emergency, I will get back with you. But don't expect a text or call or email back after 10 p.m. because I've got kids and I go to bed too. I'm a tired mom. Mm-hmm. So otherwise, let me know if you guys have any questions or concerns. Okay? It was really great seeing you guys, and I'm guessing the only student I've had before is Leslie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, it's good to see you again, Leslie.
You too.
Okay, well, you guys have a good evening. I'll let you guys go. Look at that. It only took us an hour. But otherwise, like I said, I recorded our session. I'll share it with those who couldn't make the meeting. Otherwise, you guys have a wonderful evening. And good luck with your observations, not your observations, but with your practicum. Have fun.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bippert.
Thank you, guys.